Intro. All set.
Alive?
Yes, sir.
Little intimate party today. Just me and Mike and Sebas.
It seems like fitness is back.
Oh.
Like online fitness grew during COVID, obviously, in a new generation of TikTok and shit. But I ran into Larry Gal this weekend.
Oh yeah.
And others, but and just see what I see online and heard. It seems like Arnold, Ohio, was huge this year.
I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're on the way right now as we speak to Arnold, UK.
UK. Yeah.
And it sounds like it's big. Yeah, Young LA is bringing Larry out. It seems like the shit's growing again. But it is kind of like even a new generation everywhere. Like Powerlifting America, everyone just jumped over. So that's like the new generation. And they don't have that at the Arnold yet. Obviously, it's still USAPL. But they just snagged Mitchell Cooper, won the Arnold, and he won the World's Strongest Man last year. And he's probably in his late 20s. I don't know for sure, but he's kind of the new gen of strongman even that seems to dominate. Because even when the Stolt brothers won World's Strongest Man, I don't think they won the Arnold. And it's been like that.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, historically it's been like that.
Can you that camera? My
Gotcha.
there's something up with this camera. My we're cutting me off at my eyes.
A little zoomed in.
I don't know something. I mean, this is the tight space back here. We sometimes have to juggle things around. And much better. Okay.
So it's been a while since there was like the Thor or the Brian Shaw that kind of dominated or was like the Michael Jordan of the sport. I think even the Stolt brothers didn't win back to back, right? I think there's been like a new guy every year winning the World's Strongest Man.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't win back to back.
Right. So now you got Mitchell kind of taking the Arnold, taking that. C-Bum's kind of obviously been dominant for the last little bit here in bodybuilding, kind of been the guy, but generally speaking, it seems like kind of a fresh chapter. Plus the COVID obviously ruined all expos.
Yeah.
But it seems like a new chapter. The new gen is like officially taken over.
Yeah. Unrelated, but about the popularity of strongman. The Stolman brothers are with Gymshark, and there's this. So
was Ngannou. My boy Ngannou got his poor ass knocked out. He's top to bottom Gymshark.
Jeez. This group of retired gymnasts that I follow on YouTube and Instagram and stuff, led by Ash Watson. They had the Stolman brothers in to do some gymnastics, and they also did acro yoga, which is nuts.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably good at the base, right?
Yeah, they're really
strong.
You have to
stable.
put them on the base because they're just too big for anything else.
Yeah,
but.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I mean, those guys are still competitive. I think they did well at the Arnold. Not to negate them by any means, but yeah, it seems like the new stars are kind of stepping up. The new, I mean, again, Powerlifting America is a big ripple in powerlifting. I think we talked about it on the show. It might have been afterwards. CBS signed a big.
Yes, we talked about that.
CBS signed that big contract with IPF. That's kind of a new chapter, a new exciting thing. CrossFit plus the Rogue Invitational we mentioned a little bit are both moving, which is a new chapter for them. You know, they normally do like blocks. I think CrossFit was in LA for 6-7 years. Seemed like they were in Wisconsin for the last 5, maybe more. But now they got a brand new chapter. So good things, I think. Money's obviously flowing. Fucking fitness is still cool. You know, it's maybe never been cooler.
I was talking to I went to a podcast meeting a couple of weeks ago over in Oakland. We were talking about just a few years ago, like 2018-ish, 2018, 2019. There was a whole lot of money from China rolling into podcasts in America and podcast networks. And there was one called Himalaya, which sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
Whatever. Gone. All gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, podcasts might have scaled. Obviously, it's on the individual, but as a group, too fast. Right? It was the hot shit, but not everybody can have an interesting podcast.
Yeah, and it's just kind of the same thing that's going on with TV. Like they say, peak TV has passed.
Yeah.
Because there were 2 years ago there were 600 TV shows on.
Yeah.
And now there are 200 something fewer, and it'll probably keep consolidating because everyone was just throwing content against the wall to see what would stick.
And TV in general is in a weird space, right? Because of the streaming world, what's live, what's not live.
Yeah.
Even that's a big announcement. We were talking about Mike Tyson, non-pay-per-view just on Netflix. That's a first of its kind.
Yeah.
That's got. I mean, I can't even imagine what that contract is.
It's probably because of Jake Paul had a documentary on Netflix, so maybe
and it probably did well.
They probably did it. Yeah, they probably did some kind of of overall deal.
And it probably did well. You know, like there's a lot of Jake Paul's only 27, but like he was really popping when he was like early 20s.
Yeah.
So the people watching him were 15.
Yeah.
Now they're 20.
Yeah.
And they're the ones on Netflix and shit. It kind of makes sense to market to that.
Netflix, in case anybody was not paying attention, and it's sometimes easy to discount Netflix because sometimes you can't find anything you want to watch on Netflix. But the streaming wars are like over. They fucking won.
Yeah.
They won everything.
Yeah.
And so now they're trying to move into live events.
Right. Which makes sense too.
Dave Chang did like 4 weeks of a live cooking show. We brought celebrities, like 2 celebrities in, and he would cook while he talked to them, and it was kind of more about the conversation than the food.
Like a Hot Ones type deal or whatever.
Yeah, except that all the food tasted good and no one was dying.
That's more about the interview than the wings
of mouth inferno. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And he wasn't so much directing it, toward the conversation, just kind of letting it happen.
Yeah.
It was like Bert Kreischer and Bill Simmons and
podcasty guys that know what they're doing.
Seth Rogen and Ike Barinholtz.
The one thing, I think Hulu's the only one that does it, just based on the commercials. I don't even have it, but is live sports. A lot of them haven't really dove in, right? Like the mainstream media still dominates that. The Fox, the CBS, the NBCs, although they are often attached to one of the streaming, right? Like Peacock is one of theirs. Is HBO tied in with Fox?
No.
Is there any other? Fox doesn't. I'm sure Fox has their own shitty streaming app.
I don't think that. I don't know. Who owns Fox now? I don't even know.
Yeah, they have a Sony relationship of some nature.
Yeah, Sony just produces content. They don't.
But you know what I mean? Like
they don't have their own streams.
Basically, all these shows or these TV channels have their own streaming-ish now. But I feel like there is a big gap for live stuff in general.
Yeah.
Or sports.
Yeah. Right. Where it's like Netflix and some of the others are basically trying to recreate cable,
right?
Without cable.
Yeah, just backwards now.
Yeah.
I was listening to Kevin James on Rogan, which is always like cool to me. And Rogan, I only literally listen to based on the guests now, but Kevin James is like a fucking star, and he's been a star. And he just always seemed cool to me. He seemed kind of normal. But then hearing him talk to Rogan, he's so normal because they came up together, which is just like a cool thing, right? Like,
yeah.
Because it's kind of like powerlifting. We're like, well, we'll tell some of our members, like the people we know and who we've met through the gym. And it's just because we all were meatheads. And like once you get there, the niche is very small. And so I think the comedian niche, they both started on the East Coast in like the 80s, and they just, were the successful ones, which was cool. But they were mentioning I think it was the Toronto show. They said there was some show in the 90s that was like a comedy, not special, but a live comedy weekend event. Mm-hmm. And so they would just have comedians all over the place, just sounded like, almost like it was like a South by Southwest deal, but for comedy. So these guys everyone would go, and you'd give your best, depending on your level, your 10 minutes, 15, half an hour. But they said during the 90s, it was like a bidding draft to get the next sitcom. He said,
for sure.
He said you could go up there and you could be a nobody and just lay a dope 5 minutes down, and Fox and NBC are now fighting to make the next Seinfeld show with you.
Right.
Because that was the era, right? There was the Seinfeld, there was Roseanne. It was just comedians turned Tim Allen.
Yeah.
It was just comedians turned sitcom stars and writers.
Yeah, Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it was literally every show ever. And a lot of them are like really good shows. And so they're like, dude, everyone would go. And they were talking about some of the busts that happened, that they knew there was a couple busts that the show didn't even go through or whatever. But it seems like, content obviously has always been a machine, but now the machine's bigger and like the turnaround's faster.
Yeah.
Even with YouTube, even with podcasts, like it creates like your own niche. It is interesting to see where we may go. But sports are the one you just got to have live. They're never going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't like watching it recorded. I personally literally can't. I have to watch sports live. I don't know why. I just never want to watch a record.
I have. It's not a thing I'm trying to do.
Yeah. No one wants to.
Yeah, it's hard to actually intended to watch the Oscars the other night, and they started at 4.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that, so I turned on the TV at like 7:30, and they're over already. I was like, fuck. I thought I was going to get at least part of it.
I don't know why that was. Because normally it's an evening-ish.
West Coast or East Coast viewership.
Snag them in. Because sports don't really work that way.
No.
Like I remember going to Cleveland and watching. I think I watched the Super Bowl one year, and that shit's ending at like fucking midnight.
Yeah.
You know, like all the games, our first game of the day in the NFL starts at 10 a.m. Theirs doesn't start till like 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So you're watching football till 1 a.m. out there.
Yeah.
Basketball, similar thing. Like obviously they try to make it work, but basketball games end here at 9 at night because the last game starts 6:30 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
That means it's ending over there at midnight.
Yeah, that's why they talk about the East Coast bias for sports, for teams in particular, because a lot of people on the East Coast just don't see West Coast teams play much at all.
Yeah, where here you'll get a taste of both. Obviously.
Yeah, we'll get it. We can watch everything if we want to.
It is interesting. Yeah, I wonder if Netflix will move more of that. I mean, this is their first big one, right? Like Mike Tyson, the name is crazy. They're breaking down the stats on like some Instagram post, and they're talking like fighting stats and like life stats, which was cool. You know, they're like 24 million Instagram followers. Like I think both of them have 24 million each.
Jeez.
That's 48 million followers just between the two dudes boxing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll get like a big name or two or medium name on like the opening card. You know, they're gonna have some like fucking. Is it with KSI? Is it KSI shit? Probably not, right?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Because KSI, KSI is best friends or business partners with Jake's brother, but I know there's conflict still between that group and Jake himself.
Jake and KSI don't like each other.
Yeah, and like the Prime thing, and Jake's sponsored by some Celsius, I think. There's a bunch of always been drama, so maybe it isn't. What's their thing called? But they have their own promotional boxing company, and that's where all the YouTubers go, and even all the ex-sports athletes went there, right? Like Frank Gore fought in one. I think all the NFL, NBA guys that are boxing now all went to that card or that promotion. So maybe it's not to do with Netflix, but you'd assume Netflix, if they're doing a Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, will probably grab some celebrities to open up for them, or at least athletes, somebody famous.
Yeah, you would think.
And that stuff is funny. I think we talked about it here too, but you remember Celebrity Deathmatch on MTV?
I do.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally just what all
without
these things are.
Without the death part, without the animation.
Yeah, I would kind of like it more if it was like MMA or bare knuckle. Like, put your ass on the line, you know?
Yeah.
That's what made, like, obviously Deathmatch was, all animated and, like, silly. But it's it's cool to see, like, your favorite athlete, like, bouncing around in there. But if there's no, like, risk, you know, as a viewer.
Apparently all the Rocky movies and now maybe all the Creed ones, I know for sure Creed 1, Sylvester Stallone mandated that everybody that was in a boxing scene had to take one real shot.
Oh, dope. I like that.
And, you know, so every Rocky movie definitely has that. Then when they did Creed, he told... what's his name?
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah,
that he's got to get after it.
That and so
I'm sure he did. I'm sure, like, he seems like a pretty good actor. You know, like, I'm not.
He looks like an athlete. I don't know how you. I mean,
like,
you know.
There's no way I'm getting a role to follow up a Rocky film, and I'm not going to go like really learn how to box.
Yeah,
that'd be so lame. I've heard stuff like that too, and I forgot what it might have been. A Rocky. It might have been something else. Maybe like a Jackie Chan. Fuck, I forgot. But I read an interview where the guy's like, yeah, man, like, you're going to have to, like, really hit me. Like, I'll let you just really hit me because I want this shot. It might have been a Rocky. Yeah. I forgot, where he's like, yeah, like, really hit me. Like, I want this to look good.
I think that there's several of the boxing films have been kind of like that.
Yeah.
I don't know that, I don't know, like, Raging Bull was like that in particular.
Yeah, maybe a Mark Wahlberg one was the fighter. It might have been one of those. I forgot. I was reading, like, the post-credit interview type shit, and they're like, yeah, man, like, I want it to look good, so just fucking sock me. It makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and if you are getting paid $10 million or whatever the fuck, you know, like, you better go hard.
Yeah.
There's got to be something there.
Yeah, kind of the worst thing about any sports movie is if the sports performances are unconvincing.
That's what's really hard for me watching, like, football, basketball, soccer. Because I don't know enough about boxing.
Uh-huh.
So, like, and they cut it so, like, epic.
Yeah.
They cut it like an anime, you know? They're getting a crazy corner shot, and it's moving so fast. But sometimes basketball movies, football movies, they'll show, like, a piece of a game, you know? They'll show you a good 20 seconds, and you're just like, man, these guys move like shit. Like it just really took me out of this, this fucking whatever, you know.
Yeah, I like a movie like probably one of the most popular basketball movies ever. Hoosiers is kind of a mixed bag in that regard.
The only benefit of movies like that, and fuck, what's the name? I just rewatched the new one where I think it's New Mexico State. It's not new, but it's semi-new. Was the first team to have 5 black people start.
Oh yeah.
In the NC2A. Fuck, I forgot the movie name. It's a pretty good movie too. The benefit they have is that it's basketball from the 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to be that good.
Right.
Right?
True enough.
Like they're dribbling with one hand and they're...
Yeah.
And same with like baseball. Baseball, you can edit the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't... it doesn't matter if they're athletic.
Yeah.
Like you could just kind of show that you know how to throw and then they make it look like you're throwing a bomb.
Yeah.
And same with batting, right? You just got to kind of look athletic when you swing and then they'll make it look like the ball went flying.
Yeah.
It's like piece it up, and boxing's kind of like that. I do love a good sports movie. I feel like there hasn't been one in a little while. I haven't watched the new Creed.
It is not interesting.
Really? That
Oh.
sucks. Because the first 2 are solid. They're not the best things ever, but they're solid.
The first one's really good. I think the second one is fine. The third one is boring.
That sucks.
And it's not so much the direction; it's just the plotting. It's not fantastic. And you know, what's his name? Who got so totally canceled? Who's in that movie? Christ.
And the new?
Yeah, the new one.
I don't know who's in the new one.
He was supposed to be in a Marvel movie, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was Kang Dynasty. What's his name?
Oh, yeah.
Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
Jonathan Majors. I've seen him be pretty good.
Yeah.
Or maybe like really good. And he's kind of just going through the motions in this one, I think.
That sucks.
I thought. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, he got yeeted as Kang. There's like only one Marvel movie this year.
Yeah, and it's the Deadpool one.
Yeah. Which I'm sure will be good, but normally they whip out like 3 a year, 4 a year, trying to keep these chapters rolling.
I hear that they had an entirely different script for 3. And then
Deadpool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's
then
probably up in the air, right? Because they didn't know the Wolverine situation.
Yeah, and with Marvel, Disney acquiring the the rights to Deadpool, they were able to redo the. Oh my goodness, why is that thing just continuing to change?
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, because Disney was probably really iffy to do a rated R, and give it over to Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, and I think they had to just
they had to
throw their hands up and say, okay, this is what it is.
Is that their first rated R movie ever?
No, I don't think so. But most of the stuff that they did that was more adult used to be under Touchstone Pictures, or they shifted it to Hulu.
Interesting.
I watched that Echo show, which was on Hulu and Disney Plus.
The Hero, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, that one was not. That was a rough go.
I haven't been very impressed with any of the superhero shows of new.
You know, I really wanted to like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but they kept them apart too much of the time.
Yeah, it was all right. I couldn't even watch most of them. Loki was pretty good.
Both the Loki.
Yeah, I didn't even watch the
good.
second. I just watched finally dug down because of my ADHD. I dug down and watched Dune.
Did you watch the first one?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, I saw the second one.
Yeah, good.
The second one is good, but it feels a little bit like scenes from Dune because they were trying to keep it from being like 4 hours long.
Yeah, they're pacing.
And they cut out big sections of subplot and stuff.
Interesting.
And it's still like the last 40 minutes or so, just like hurtling toward this where they need to be in the final scenes of the movie. And it, spoiler alert.
Uh-oh. How big of a spoiler? Don't kill me, Jim.
Well, the story's clearly not over by the end of the second movie.
Isn't it just one book? It's one book that they made 3 movies, right?
It's 2 books that'll be 3 movies.
Okay.
Because the next one,
but I knew it wasn't 3 books, 3 movies.
Yeah, we're nearly the end of the original Dune book, and it'll go to Children of Dune, providing they get the money to do it. But I can't see why they wouldn't.
No, yeah, this one's going crazy. Everyone says it's the best. Yeah, rated
it's better than
tomatoes. Yeah, people are going crazy. It is funny because I grew up such a Star Wars fan, and I had heard about Dune, but
yeah,
my dad wasn't like a big sci-fi guy, so like I wasn't like raised on this shit. But then you start to hear, a lot of Star Wars based on Dune, a lot of Star Wars based, and then I'm watching Dune 1. I'm like, this is fucking Star Wars.
Star Wars.
This is fucking Star Wars. Besides, their swords don't look as cool.
Yeah, and Frank Herbert did a lot of mushrooms, man. It's very clear when he was writing. It's just
the fucking worm. I'm like, dude, that's literally the fucking worm from from Jedi Return of the Jedi. That fucking everyone gets eaten in, like it's literally identical. So on the nose, it's funny.
It's the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It is good. It is good. Even Dune 1, though, was pretty slow. Maybe even slower than Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't move very fast, for sure.
And then not a lot of action.
Yeah.
Very sci-fi, and I don't mind because I do just like fucking outer space shit. But
there is action, but not a ton.
Yeah.
And, And I've watched every version of Dune that they've made.
Yeah, because they made one in the 70s, 80s, right?
David Lynch made one.
Yeah.
And then there was a TV one that was for miniseries for sci-fi. That actually kind of covered more ground.
Yeah. I feel like stuff like that would still be good. Like, obviously, there's the Mandalorian and Star Wars type shit, but, like, those are pretty good. You know? Like, why wouldn't you... Like, why isn't there... And I guess they just did make, like, a prequel Lord of the Rings style show, right? What was that called?
Yeah,
I only watched, like, one episode, and it wasn't that bad, but you would think, like, bring the main characters in there. You have the money now. I think they're doing that with Harry Potter. I think Homeboy might be in it, right? I think it's about Harry being an adult.
No. It's retelling of the whole thing.
No way.
Yeah, it's a TV series based on the books.
Well, okay, that's still decent. Yeah. It is Harry.
Yeah, it's Harry.
Like
it's not like the Fantastic Beasts thing.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, I feel like they just start to sprout out too hard. All these big series, like these big series, are dope because we fall in love with the main character. And now you have the money. Like, Netflix is a giant beast, and so is HBO, and so is Hulu. Like, you have the money now. Because
Apple
back in the
on Amazon,
right?
Apple particularly, because they don't care how many people watch it.
Yeah, they're just collecting data.
Yeah.
Like, back in the day, sequels were limited because of money, I feel like.
Yeah.
And then there were sprout off shows that would go to TV based on a movie or something, or Power Rangers, or the opposite, right? You get the show and then they build a movie, but it's always like, it always felt like a B-class version of it. Like, grab fucking Frodo and make a fucking movie about Frodo, or a TV show about Frodo.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I'm going to watch it. Like, I don't want to watch Frodo's third cousin, sister's neighbor. You know?
That was the problem with the Star Wars sequels.
Yeah.
Because, we wanted to see what, Han, Luke, and Leia did.
Where it was going, yeah.
And we never got a single fucking scene of all three of them.
It was a lot of Rey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they tied it in, if Rey actually was...
Well, there's a movie coming with her.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? But if she was Luke's bastard daughter, now we could have some tie-ins.
Yeah. Or a clone or something.
Something.
A gender-switched clone, which
something
is totally possible.
Yeah. Yeah, something. There had to be a closer tie. Leia's fucking cousin, or but you felt disconnected.
Yeah. There's an exhibit at the Exploratorium in San Francisco. Wife and I spent the weekend there a few weeks ago in San Francisco, and on Thursdays after 6 o'clock, you can go to the Exploratorium, which is normally like swamped with kids.
Yeah.
And it's just adults. It's 18 and up.
Oh, that's cool.
They serve drinks, whether they serve them, you can buy them, whatever,
Yeah.
and you can see the whole place. But one of the exhibits is masks of massive people. It's like a group of people standing together with just their faces, and it's all genetic variations of Chelsea Manning. She was like a whistleblower.
Oh,
and they like took her. I think that she began life as not Chelsea.
Okay.
They took
that's Charlie.
Yeah, or something. I don't know. They took the genes.
Well, something meaning human.
Yes, human.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
and then they did like 12 or 15 variations based on just the same genetic material to get all these different faces. It's crazy.
That sounds creepy as hell.
It is in a way. In a way, I think
that sounds like what are they calling a chimera?
Where it's just like
they be switching genetics everywhere and shit. That's crazy.
It's right here. If I can get it to open up.
I've heard that name. Don't recognize her. Oh shit.
Like, I don't know if any one of them is her.
No, that is really creepy. That is some like Westworld looking creepy shit.
Yeah, it is for sure. Yeah. Like,
how do we not have, I think I was talking about this with Bart and them. How do we not have a real Westworld yet? Our bots are getting pretty good.
I imagine that, like, probably in your lifetime we'll have something
Right?
like that.
In
I don't
Dubai,
know.
probably.
Maybe not mine, but
Dubai's going crazy, man. I get all this because I'm like, I'm not like a Star or a Disney adult, you know, or like that negative term, you know, where
Yeah.
I'm fucking wearing ears and shit. Gio makes fun of me, but I do love, and you know, I love theme parks because I like the art direction and I like worlds, and that's why I like sci-fi and fantasy movies.
yeah,
I
it's a
like
world building.
Yeah, I like not being here, you know, and I think it's cool when you start to do that, and that's why I love Dune. Right, you're off somewhere, who knows where the fuck you are. So I follow a bunch of that bullshit on my Instagram, so my Discovery page will get random stuff. Dubai's making some crazy shit. I think it's Dubai. Don't quote me. They're making a city that's based. It's a city that's based on esports. So it's supposed to be the esports capital of the world, and it's literally a capital. Like, it's literally a world. It's literally a city. They're making the world's biggest theme park that is floating.
Ooh.
So it's on the water.
Oh my God!
And I don't know if it's a water park. I think it's just floating on the water. It's like a cruise ship, but it's not. It's all buildings and craziness. Then I think it's Dubai that's making a Disneyland-ish, but it's all Ferrari.
Wow.
So Ferrari's obviously making it or part of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I think it's rides and food and all this shit based on just Ferrari. I'm like, dude, that's fucking sick.
That sounds lit.
Yeah, it sounds so sick. And like, there's only renderings and shit, but all of it looks crazy. And I'm pretty sure it's all maybe Saudi Arabia, maybe not exactly Dubai, but all in that. Dude, I'm like, dude, that's fucking crazy. But yeah, how do we not have a Westworld? And you're right, it's got to be soon. If we got ChatGPT, we have Siri, and we have these robots that can like walk upstairs, right? We got to be 80% of there.
Abu Dhabi.
Ferrari? Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. That's got to be close to Dubai, right?
My Middle East knowledge.
Yeah, my Middle East is like the only place I don't know that well.
Ferrari World Yas Island. Yas Queen.
This is a YAAS.
It just
Abu
YAS.
Dhabi.
We're just YAS.
It is United Emirates. Yeah. It's right up the street from Dubai. Just a quick little,
Just a little jaunt.
yeah.
Little jaunt across the sand.
It really
Up
does
the
look
street.
close. I'll map it. It really
It's
does
like,
look close.
Like a day's ride on your camel.
Yeah. Bro, I've heard those camels are the biggest scam in tourism.
I have heard that as well, yeah.
I've heard you hop on them bitches and they won't let you off. I swear to God, I forgot who told me, but someone said, like, don't go on the camel. Say no. Because you'll hop on that and they won't let you off and they start charging you by the hour. Next you know, you're in the fucking desert and you're just stuck.
By yourself and you need
Dude, I've
portage
heard
back.
that.
Yeah.
I forgot who told me, but I was like, fuck, that sounds so scary.
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah.
Ooh. Bye.
Unrelated but related. I just
1 hour drive.
1 hour drive.
Bad.
We're going to Ferrari World, then we're going to Esports Land, and then I'm going to be on the water. What is that, the Red Sea? That's not the Red Sea. Red Sea's more north.
Sea of Arabia?
Maybe.
Arabian Sea?
Or the Dead Sea, that's more north too. Persian Gulf.
Persian Gulf.
That's all the water.
Oh.
And Gulf of Oman.
I don't know
sounds
where.
ominous.
I've heard it's cool over there, man. I do kind of want to go.
Well, it's hot, but yeah.
Yeah. No, but their tech, you probably have AC.
Yeah.
Your cement probably has
Float, yeah.
AC. Yeah, you probably walk barefoot over there. Who knows what they're doing?
It's floating around you.
Yeah. It's like outdoor AC somehow. They probably have it. I swear.
Well, I'm having trouble finding it now, but you know that Paul Thomas Anderson, Leonardo DiCaprio movie that was filming here.
Yeah.
They spent about $1 million on hotel rooms,
I bet.
and the calculated value to the community of all the money they spent, about $5 million
That's dope.
in the course of a couple weeks.
Yeah, I was in Vegas for some of it because it was like 2 months ago, but a lot of it was right next to my house.
yeah,
There's a lot of it was at like the courthouse,
yeah.
which was interesting. And then we had a day pass in here that was staying, I think, at the Sawyer. And he said it was
Oh.
always blocked off. Like, I think they were probably staying there.
Oh,
And he
sure,
like walked
yeah.
up the street and he's like, yeah, there's cops everywhere. It was all like shut off. I was like, oh, yeah. Because it was cool to see on Instagram all the different places they were filming. I saw like a film thing of like a couple alleys by my house because
Mhm.
I could tell by the artwork on the wall. Tonight, Teyana Taylor's in it. It would be interesting. But I guess we'll know the timeline now because that probably comes out in what, 2 years?
I imagine probably next year.
Yeah, maybe next summer.
Yeah. I don't know for sure because it doesn't even officially have a
Name.
announced title.
Yeah, it gives you like a very loose synopsis
Yeah.
when you Google it.
And the book that it's based on is not one that was actually very popular, so they probably had to do a pretty serious adaptation to
yeah.
to
And then
get
that
there.
Michael Cera one that filmed a while ago. That'll be interesting too.
Yeah.
That should probably be soon.
Yeah. You know, the movie that got like nothing out of the Oscars, one of them, is that Killers of the Flower Moon movie, speaking of DiCaprio.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie, but I listened to the book. Ooh.
Bad?
It's not bad. It's just, it's dry. The first 2/3 of it are so dry.
It's sci-fi, right? Or am I way off?
No. It's about the Osage Indians in the 20s in Oklahoma, basically just getting ripped off constantly by the white people.
Yeah.
And some of the white people are married to the Indian folks, the Osage folks, and they're still getting ripped off.
Yeah. Stuck.
Yeah.
Interesting. No, I never saw it. I haven't seen that many movies like I used to. I used to go to the movie theater like every Tuesday. Just go sit down and bang some out. But there hasn't been that many movies either.
The last thing I saw was Dune, and I think I saw one thing in between Dune and Oppenheimer last summer.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Oppenheimer. I think the last thing I saw was like Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's probably like,
really?
Yeah, like 9 months ago or more. I love movies though.
I do too, and I kind of got out of the habit of going.
I think there's just been less of them, right? So
There have definitely been less of them, so
less scream to us. And
Yeah.
then you feel like not going. Yeah. Oppenheimer, I still need to watch for sure.
it's very good. It is also quite long. It's 3 hours long.
And then Gladiator 2. That's my shit. Denzel, baby.
Glad to.
Denzel.
Still glad.
It picks up at the end of it. We were wrong. I Googled it for a while. It picks up at the end of it. And I don't know. Pedro Pascal's still in it. Yeah, I think it'll be good. Denzel, dude. Can't go wrong.
Isn't it Commodus's kid who becomes
Maybe.
emperor?
Yeah. It might be about him.
After he dies. After
Yeah, I think
Russell
it'll be
Crowe
good.
killed him. Except that's not what really happened in the real world.
But it just doesn't tell as good of a story.
I really wonder whether the writer-director has it anymore, because those alien movies, Ridley Scott, his alien movies had sucked.
Yeah, you can't be young either, right?
No, I think he's in his 80s or something.
Yeah, you never know. Dude, there's a bunch of cool shit coming. What's the other one? Civil War. That looks crazy.
I saw the trailer to Civil War before Dune 2 in the IMAX.
Crazy, right?
I almost had to leave. I got so anxious just out of the blue. It's like, oh, I'm so comfortable here. I don't want to. It's totally implausible because California and Florida are never going to work together on anything,
right?
Particularly a Civil War.
But like the base idea is almost too real.
Yeah, the violence of it was hard to watch.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's obviously so close to home.
Yeah. Yeah, something could happen, and not that, but something.
But some variation.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I saw the trailer, it was right when they were like talking about who could be on the ballot or not. Like a bunch of weird stuff was happening in real life at the same time. I was like, oh, here we go. Like, here we go. Grab my gun.
Yeah, it's
heading out to Hawaii or something. I don't know.
Scary.
Yeah,
very
it will
scary.
be interesting.
I've never had that visceral reaction to a trailer before, ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, it's like,
I was just like,
and it is shot good. Like that.
I was like,
it's a good trailer,
and it's got a hell of a cast too.
Yeah.
And like I was like breathing funny and whatever.
Yeah.
Speaking of breathing funny and feeling weird, there's this guy that I follow on Instagram called the Sleepy Paramedic.
Yeah.
He's literally a paramedic in Texas.
Yeah.
He's got a pretty big following. He's got probably like 400,000 followers or something now.
Does he fall asleep? What's that disease called?
No. It's just that it's from being on shift for 24 hours plus or whatever. And he'd been up for like 30 hours and had already had 2 energy drinks. And then someone said, "Hey, there's a Bang in the fridge if you want it." And so, the 300 milligram caffeine Bang plus all the other shit that's in an energy drink.
Sounds like a Tuesday to me.
He drinks the thing and he's like, "Oh man, my heart feels weird." And so, he's at work, so he gets hooked up to the EKG machine and he's in AFib. So basically the top of his heart is doing
screaming.
Is doing, it's not beating regularly.
Yeah.
And he said he ended up pounding on his own chest, and got himself to convert back to a normal sinus rhythm. But like, He's like, just be careful with the energy drinks
Yeah.
because you don't know. He's like 37, so like
Yeah.
spitting distance of your age, and
Yeah.
just like, this is why I don't drink them anymore because they make me feel weird.
Yeah. I think I'm just so adapt to it. Now, like, the one thing that I do always feel confident with is my cardio is crazy. Like, I do almost an hour of cardio every day.
Yeah.
Not that that'll fix everything, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even though you're a paramedic or even though you're whatever, doesn't mean you're actually moving much.
It doesn't necessarily know.
You know what I mean? Because you're sitting in a van.
Yeah.
And then when you're at home, and then I couldn't work that job for sure now in hindsight, although I wanted to be like an EMT or firefighter growing up. Like, the lack of sleep would literally kill me.
Yeah.
I literally turn into a different human. I can feel it.
This guy is pretty interesting because he's like, he set up some deals to pay for people to go to EMT school.
That's cool.
And then another school approached him and with like 70% off of tuition for like 4 people or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, they asked him to pick those people.
I just heard a news segment literally like 3 days ago that how hard the country's hit with the lack of firefighters.
Yeah, it's a big problem. Like, we're gonna have more fires and have fewer people fighting them.
Yeah.
That means that more stuff is just gonna get burned down because there isn't anybody to.
Well, and all the other stuff, right? Like heart attacks, all that. Firefighters
Yeah.
deal with it all. You know,
Right.
They head up to everything. And if there's a lack of firefighters, chances are there's a lack of cops. Chances are there's a lack of EMTs.
Mhm.
Yeah, it could be an issue.
I didn't understand the difference between an EMT and paramedic before. This guy explained it pretty well.
I think some of it depends on county too.
Yeah, like there are
Yeah.
different rules in different places,
Yeah.
but EMTs essentially like they like stabilize and move a body. You know,
Yeah. Get you to a hospital.
whereas
Make sure you don't die and get
a
you to a hospital.
paramedic within their scope of practice can do all kinds of stuff. you
Yeah,
know.
more nurse-like, yeah?
A little more nurse-like, yeah. Like they're actually their scope of practice is a little broader, I think, than most nurses, because
Yeah.
most nurses work in situations where there's a doctor right there. And
Yeah.
Paramedic has a bunch of standing orders from the medical director.
Yeah, if you're like bleeding or having a heart attack in a car crash,
Yeah.
they can cut you open and do shit.
Yeah, they can do what they never need to
Like
do
to save you.
To
Yeah,
save
yeah.
you,
Yeah,
for
where an
sure.
EMT gets you on some oxygen and
Yeah.
rushes you to a hotel.
You might
or,
start an IV. and
hospital. I think,
yeah.
and the firefighter laws depend on county and shit too. Some you have to be an EMT, some you don't.
Right.
I think a lot of it just depends on personnel. Like if the county has a bunch of EMTs, then the firefighter could just be kind of a fire guy.
Right.
So you would show up to a call with an EMT and you don't have to worry about it. That's the job I need. But I think Sacramento, you got to be an EMT.
I think you're right.
And
about
I think
that.
you have to work as an EMT to even become fire. I might be wrong with that, but that's the stuff I don't want to do. I want to fight fires and say, like pull people out of flames and shit, but I don't want to like.
You
I
wanna
don't
do
know.
the cool job.
I don't want to see you bleeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want to be a doctor. I never, and it doesn't really gross me out. I used to be better with it, but I don't love injuries and shit. You know, I wouldn't mind, but like running into a house on fire, I think I could still do, even at my age. Like I think I could muster that up and pull a doggo and a grandma off over on my shoulder.
To shift more toward our vertical, a lot of stuff over the Arnold weekend that we did not attend. Did you have any FOMO about any of that stuff? Did you
No.
I regret not going?
I used to struggle with FOMO a shit ton, and then I would realize that I would ground myself in moments and say, I actually don't like being here. And it just like killed my FOMO. And so that's how I became antisocial. Like most places I'm at, I'm like, I don't love this. And so the idea is always cool. It is where some people are social creatures. So FOMO, although like a phenomena, is real. Like they would really rather be there.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of places I'd rather be. If I see Ferrari World or like a beach in Hawaii, I get a little FOMO. But because some of it, and it is fun, and there's a lot of people there that I love and I'd like to see. It is still work for me, and I've done it for so long. Like I always have to be on, and although we're hanging out, we're still networking, and it is still like a portion of work. And I just feel like I've worked so long. Yeah, I don't really get FOMO.
When we were there in 2018 independently, I walked away saying, I'm never going into this again.
Yeah.
It's just totally not worth it. And then we went last year because Avi was competing, and I had a pretty good time.
Yeah, it was fun.
But I still have kind of felt over it. And really, what it comes down to is just not seeing the people. Like,
Yeah.
what are the other opportunities you have to run into a lot of these folks?
That's all it is. It's industry stuff, and it is cool, right?
Yeah.
It's you meet new people, and there are cool people.
For as many people who are, fitfluencers or whatever, who are not genuine people.
Yeah.
There are plenty of other folks who are genuine people who. Some of them have a little bit of celebrity, some of them don't, whatever, and they're just, interesting, cool to be around, and they're to have a pretty good time.
Yeah, and I do think, obviously, other industries have like conferences and Zoom calls and masterminds and all that that you touch in with the same people, whether they work for your company or not.
Yeah,
those are our only opportunities. That is how the fitness industry moves. If you're part of it at all, but let alone the online fitness industry, you tap in at the Olympia, at the LA Fit Expo, at the Arnold. So you do miss a piece, but it's just too much. And I'm sure we'll go again if Sebas competes there, or Avi or somebody, but I'm not screaming to go. Maybe the Olympia, just because it's in Vegas and I could drive there.
Is it back to Vegas? Because it was in Florida.
Yeah,
it's
moved back last year. So I might do that, guy. Just walk around. Say hi.
I could see that.
And Vegas is so close.
I could see that. Easy. There's a podcast conference like 2 weeks that I could go to in LA, and I've really been very up in the air about it. Just sometimes you need to be more excited about what you're doing, but like it's also it's the same stuff,
right?
It's the same stuff, and it is even more stressful because you don't know many people,
right?
And
so the beginning steps of networking,
like you really have to be on,
that stuff's tiring,
and we're not in that zone. We're constantly looking for influencer people to be on the show, and I've said before, we get pitched people who are trying to be influencers all the time.
Yeah, there is that bubble you even mentioned before of like podcasts, and I've seen a lot of hate on it actually on Twitter lately, and like threads, where people are like, damn, like we don't need more podcasts. Why is everyone starting a podcast? But that's like rotation with everything, right? Like they said that with YouTube channels in 2016, 17. There's only like 20 successful ones, but everyone's trying to do it. It's the same thing happened with podcasts. You saw a couple people with success, and then everyone wants to start one because it is free, cheap, and easy. So you try to like the entry is easy. Being successful is obviously a little more difficult.
It's a lot more challenging.
Yeah,
and
so I think that's all of it. Streaming is the same thing. I was streaming on Twitch and shit in like 2015, 2016. Now like everyone's trying to be a streamer because that's the coolest shit. But like, doesn't mean you're going to be successful. Doesn't mean you're going to make a living or even have a positive impact. So I think that's all this shit.
That's that's really just one of my gripes is people complaining about stuff that doesn't affect them in any way.
Right.
Like it's a big problem.
Yeah, it doesn't bug me.
Like I don't care how many people have podcasts. It's just, the market's very diluted right now, but I also know that it's hard to keep going, and most people won't.
Yeah.
So like 100%. It doesn't really matter how many people start. It matters how many people finish.
Yeah.
If whatever finishing looks like.
Yeah, how many downloads you have has zero effect on me. Shit.
Yeah, and there's and we've done a little bit of this ourselves. The narrow casting where you choose your audience and then you go forward with that. And you're not trying to do the broad appeal and make everybody happy, which I think we've talked about before. Kind of makes for shitty influencer podcasts when you're constantly chasing the latest fad stuff and pseudoscience and
you're gonna interview duds or you're gonna have repeat interviews that's on every other podcast. Last piece of my fitness news, I was scrolling around Twitter, and Twitter ads aren't as common. I feel like like you'll get some random shit and you'll notice like, oh, this is like clearly trying to sell me a foam roller. But a video of Liver King popped up, and he's training some other guy, and then I read it and it was an ad. And I don't know if he has a new YouTube series or a new like TV show he's trying to pitch, but it basically felt like he was training someone to be another gladiator Liver King. And there's another dude with long hair doing like his like sled pull. And he's like, this is the only guy that made it through the next fucking, I think he said gladiator. I don't know what term he used. And he's just training some like slightly skinnier version of him.
Isn't he taller?
Yeah, like a little. No, he looked like the same. He looked like the same dude. Long ass hair, scraggly, probably a tough son of a bitch. But like, who knows what they're doing? They're just pulling sleds like in the forest. I was like, this is a crazy ad. Like, I don't know what you're trying to stay relevant so hard, bro. Like, you had your second, man. You should have capitalized.
Yeah, I asked the question a lot. Who's this for?
Yeah.
Who's this for?
I mean, I do think there is a large amount of people that like feel they can't be tough, and like you need that extreme motivation to try to find that, right? That's why the Goggins and the Jocko Willnicks are popular, because I mean they are badasses, and then there's certain people that are so stuck in like a corporate suburban world and they feel they have some animalistic primal shit to let out, and I get it, and we've just had it because of powerlifting, right? Like it's a mini version, but there's a time you can scream and laugh and be a kid again and get a little aggressive with some weights, and you know I understand 99% of people don't have that. They're not playing any sports anymore. They're reading the newspaper, going to work, having dinner with their kids, and that's it. They have no outlet to have like I don't know if aggression's the right word, but yeah, something, you know, a little something. And even just like, yeah, construction, yeah, anything, like that's a little something, like a little bit of like, like, yeah, lack of a better term, like primal shit, like a little bit of like man shit. Like you need a little bit. And modern America doesn't really allow that. So I understand the need. And he's all jacked, right? He's naked and jacked. So every dude looks up to that. I don't know. I got to pee.
Yeah, me too. Just to put a cap on it, I wish there was some way to interface with these people that we like without having to go to a fucking
or do Zoom
convention.
Like Zoom just isn't that good or fun.
No, it's not really.
Yeah, one day. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe there's more expos or more casual ones. I think that's the other thing too, is that they're so big. Like maybe if there were smaller ones.
Well, that part of the issue is that there are just too many people.
Right. So
like part of the reason that it's so tiring is that you have to actually be on for so many folks.
Yeah, and then your interactions with the people you like are quick.
Yeah.
Or maybe surface level, just because you're both busy.
Right, because they got people demanding their time. People who are actually working booths.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, or you got other shit planned, business meetings and photo shoots in between. So it does become hectic. But maybe there'll be more events that are smaller and more casual popping up. Who knows? Yeah. Powerlifting meets are still kind of like that. They're kind of fun. So you'll see some homies or familiar faces. Like we went to Bart's meet the other week. It was kind of like that. You know, it's a more low-key version of that, where you can actually have a real conversation. Like I got to chat with Keiko for a good amount. Or if I saw him at the Arnold, it'd be like a fist bump and a goodbye. So it's better. Yeah, we'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, new episodes Wednesday, Friday. I'm Silent Mike. 3sb.co. Grab your teas right now. New launch is live. We got to meet this weekend. So if you're anywhere in California and want to come hang out, 3rd Street Barbell, Sacramento, California, Saturday and Sunday. And if not, come by anytime. We got day passes available and memberships open. I'm Silent Mike. Where you want to find me?
It's still cold in some places. We got plenty of sweats. We got sweatpants, we got sweatshirts, we got all that kind of good stuff at 3sb.co, including these really awesome Goodie Bear coffee mugs that's sitting at the table here. I am at the Jim McD on all the social media. This show is 50% facts, where percent is a word and 50 is just numbers. 50% facts. This is Spreaker Prime podcast in association with iHeartMedia on the Obscure Celebrity Network, and we'll talk to you next time.